done all I can do. Can't do no more. No more. Cling to my faith, have patience.
Hi, Steve Aggasild with you on behalf of Soul and Jazz Flavors and our very good friends at SoulStrutter. It's been a while, but we're back, and today we catch up with one of today's premier gospel vocalists, the Gospel Diva, all the way from Boston. Hello and welcome, Shonda English.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. Well, we had a little bit of technical issues, but we got there in the end. So thank you very much for joining us here today. And first of all, congratulations on the new album, Travelin.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll come to that in a minute, and we'll want to play some audio for those who might not have heard some of it already. But, you know, I was checking out your biog, okay?
Yes.
And it says, and I wrote all this down, and I thought, goodness me, what does this lady nut do? She is, and maybe that's why you're called the Gospel Diva, because you're an organist, you're a percussionist, you're a choral conductor, you're a composer, a radio personality, a novelist, an actress, and a recording artist.
Yes.
Okay, when do you sleep?
In between all of that. But let me straighten this out first before my South Carolinians get offended. I was born in Boston. I spent the first few years of my life there. And then my father packed up and moved the family back to his hometown of Sumter, South Carolina. And that's where I am now. I'm in South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay. I've on the occasions that I have managed to travel to the US of A on business, I've never really got out of Texas, to be honest. So
Wow.
I'd say I've never been to South Carolina, but so you're in South Carolina. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Oh
So
yeah, I don't want the South Carolinians coming at me with
absolutely not. Absolutely not. So all of these job titles that you've got and all the different hats that you've got to wear. Tell us all about yourself, please.
Well, in addition to that, when I was born surrounded by gospel music. My father was a gospel recording artist when I was born. So I was surrounded by the different styles of gospel. It just wasn't one thing. So when people say, well, what is your favorite style? I really don't have a favorite. I've got, artists that I really love that I'm drawn to, like Andre Crouch, James Cleveland, people like that. The Winans, I love them. So I was, my music, when you listen to Travelin, they're like, well, you're all over the place. I said, that's me. Not just one style. I'm taking you from something contemporary to soul to jazz to churchy choir, and then some meditation pieces here and there. But that's who I am. That's who I am. I'm, surrounded by many and influenced by different styles. And so when I am on stage, well, even when I'm writing, it comes to me differently. And I don't filter it, just the way it's given, divinely. That's how I record it.
So how long did this album take you to, write all the material and then go into a studio to record it? I mean, has this been a long, drawn out affair, Shonda?
12 years.
Oh my goodness.
12 years. The first 7 songs on the album are all pre-releases, and I did like a live session back in 2011, and I would just add stuff here and there. Feels Good, I released to the UK only, for a while, and then released it here in the States. But yeah, it's just been a process. My aunt Dot, Dorothy Norwood, the legend, she always says Shonda never finishes an album. Yeah, it's taken a while, but I have to say, I believe it's been worth it. A lot of things have transpired within those 12 years. I lost my father, but he was the biggest influence on me musically, and so a lot of things that you'll hear heavily inspired by him. The last two cuts, heavily inspired by him. But it's my best work yet. It
Okay,
is.
well, and I also assume, with the way certainly the industry has gone over the course of the last few years, you have no record company behind you. You're a totally independent artist.
Yes, I am independent. I have my own label. That way I am able to release what I want, when I want, how I want, where I want.
But at the same time, it's also your own money that is
It's
having
my
to go
own
into it.
money. I don't have any financial backing. You're right. You're absolutely correct.
So
But
to support all that, okay, obviously the pandemic had such a huge impact on artists of all genres with regards to performing live. Have you managed to get back out and do some performances now that everything is kind of back to normal?
oh yeah. And really, to be honest, I didn't stop during the pandemic because here in the States, um, our church has 10 acres of land. And so we did drive-in services on
Mhm.
Sunday mornings. We would do drive-in concerts. So we had the opportunity and the advantage of having that, so we could still give people something to come to. And my bills have always been paid, thank
Good.
God. And other churches, they also had drive-in services, and they would welcome me. Would you please come sing? Would you please come do this? And so I never stopped. I did take advantage during the week to kind of reflect and write some music, but no, I didn't stop.
Well, that's very fortunate, very, very
Yes.
fortunate. Let's play a piece of music, first of all.
Okay.
Let's play a little snapshot of track 1 off of the new album, Travelin. This is called There Wouldn't Be a Me, and this is Shonda English.
Where would I be if he didn't take the time to come and rescue me? If he didn't touch my blinded eyes so I could see that life without him is incomplete. Oh yeah. If it had not been for him back then, today there wouldn't be a me. Wouldn't be a me.
Track number 1 from the album, There Wouldn't Be a Me. Give us a little bit of background about that, could you?
That song is a feel-good song. Everyone, life is going to throw curveballs. You're going to have storms and sunshine. You're going to have the happy days and the sad days, and you're going to go through some hard times at some point. I believe everyone feels like, okay, God, I can't do this anymore. Let's just, I think everyone feels that way. But the fact that you are still standing, you're still here, you made it through, that is something to sing about. That's something to thank God for. And so I just, I put pen to pad. I was like, we need something happy. Remind people that, you couldn't make it on your own, but you're here. And that's what the song is all about. If it had not been for God back then during the dark times, then I wouldn't be here today. So yeah, if it had not been for him back then today there wouldn't be a me.
As well as a successful recording artist, you're also very heavily involved in radio and gospel radio in the US of A. Tell us about that.
Well, I have a radio show called the Old Landmark Gospel Hour. And it is a show, solely dedicated to the old school gospel that we really don't hear much in the States anymore. The gospel stations here are very contemporary. Everything is kind of digital, and so you don't get that soul feeling that you used to have.
Sure.
And so I started the show almost 6 years ago with one station just to kind of let people hear, and then other people say, oh, wait a minute, I want that on my station. And so now it's on almost 40 stations. And
Wow.
Yeah. It's on
Wow,
about
40 stations.
Yes. And
And that's right
everybody
across from East Coast to West Coast.
global.
Anyways, well done.
Yes, thank you so much. People, and that goes to show that people miss that sound, that they don't really hear anymore. And so I just took with the knowledge that I have, being a product of, gospel history, being surrounded by the greats, I took that and, created a baby, the old landmark gospel hour.
Fabulous. That's absolutely great to hear. Now, you mentioned their contemporary gospel. What is the difference these days, you think, with some of the new gospel artists that are coming through compared to the old school, let's say?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is more focused on the music than the message. I think the old school gospel, the message was most important. Of course, the music had to be appealing. You had to catch, the listener with a good beat, the good music, good arrangement. But the message was the far more important thing. Now, I think a lot of the contemporary artists, the contemporary music, it's like a thin line between that and secular. Like there's hip hop gospel, there's gospel rap, and if you're not paying close attention, you may not even realize that it's gospel, right?
Yeah.
And but I can't really be too judgmental because I'm an artist and I'm a musician, and so I mix the two as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
And for example, name some of the newer gospel artists that are coming through that maybe we should be looking at and tracking down their music that cover both bases, both musically and also on the side of faith.
Okay, well, there's so many. Oh my goodness, Steve, you're going to get me in trouble if I forget some.
The problem is, Shonda, we don't really get to hear too many over here in the UK and Europe. That's the thing, So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to try and keep it. I mean, obviously, we have the Winans, Reverend Kirk Franklin, and all the big names we're aware of.
Right.
But there's some others that we might not be aware of that we should maybe be paying attention to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's I think Lejeune Thompson. She's working on something new. I love her music. She's very soulful as well.
Mm-hmm.
She and I have similar styles. So her product and even her previous stuff is something that you would definitely want to check out. I'm not sure if Donna Lawrence and Tri-City Singers, they're very soulful as well. Anything that Donna Lawrence does is going to be awesome.
I have heard of him actually. Yeah, I have heard of him.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's you don't always get to know when they have new material out, and sometimes you only stumble across it maybe a few months after it's come out. Maybe we should just for a radio presenter like myself, maybe we should pay more attention to the Billboard charts and just see who's releasing stuff, because that's really the way you'll be able to hear it,
Yeah. But the thing with the Billboard charts here in the States, is kind of hard to break into it, the higher numbers, because it's like a monopoly on the stations here. It's like, okay, it's sort of like a catch-22. Okay, we're not gonna play you if your music is at the top 10. Okay, so how do I get to the top 10 if nobody's gonna play? So that's the struggle that we're dealing with, and yeah, but that's what I love about the UK. Y'all just you love good music.
We do love good music, and there's no question about that. So how have you been managing to get over this hurdle to get your own material played on US radio? Even in the state that you're staying in. I mean, are your local stations supporting you?
Somewhat. Not as much as the larger names, but what do they say? A prophet is not without honor except in his hometown. So it's like you get respected when you're away from home, but when you're home, that's just Shonda.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Tell us where people can get the album from. I mean, have you pressed up copies of the CDs, or is it just a digital release?
I have copies of CDs. You can only get that through my website, ShondaEnglish.com. And of course, digitally everywhere, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube streams. Yeah, all of that is there.
Okay. Just and what I will do is I'll put these towards the end of the kind of rolling credits, so people can make sure that they can find you and find your music and
Yes.
support you as an independent artist and as the gospel diva that you are.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
What we're going to do is we're going to finish off with one more piece of music. And I know this was a track that you said came out for the UK and is now out in the US of A. Feels Good. What a great track that is. I mean, it's a kind of crossover kind of track, really, isn't it?
Uh-huh. Yes, it is.
Tell us how all that came about, because there's some great horns on there and everything else like that.
Well, it's a love song, but Jesus is love, so it's a love song to him. I was really dealing with, like I was saying earlier, I was going through depression actually, and coming out of it, and I woke up one morning and I was humming, I was singing, I was like, I must be in a good mood because I don't do that, and I just started reflecting, and I realized I was how you realize when you're on the other side of a storm, you've gone through it and you realize, okay, it's over now, and you can smile, you can breathe, exhale, and the sun is shining, all of that good stuff. So the song came about like that. It was like a love song. And I have a good friend named Wanuko Washington. He plays the soprano sax. And it already had sort of like an Earth, Wind, and Fire groove to it. So I called Wanuko. I said, I'm going to send you something. I want you to add the soprano sax. He was like, what do you want? I said, when you hear the song, you'll know what I want.
No, yeah.
And so I sent it to him, and he was like, oh, man, yeah, I got it. And that's it. That's how it came about.
Fabulous. Well, we're going to finish with this. I would just like to say thank you very much for taking time out to join us today, Shonda. Absolutely fabulous. We'll make sure people are aware of where they can find your music, and keep us posted on what the rest of 23 and what you're going to be up to in 2024. Okay.
I hope to be there in 24.
Well, we will thoroughly look forward to seeing you. Shonda English, the Gospel Diva, thank you so much. You take care.
Thank you. You too. God bless.
Feels good. Meditate upon his love. Feels good. Concentrate